So Ann, tell us a bit about when you got involved with Hoima.
So it was 2010 when I first went to Hoima. I'd heard about it from other colleagues at work who'd been out working with the hospital. Keith, one of our anaesthetists at the hospital, asked me to come and I was really up for it. So I spent 2 weeks there and I've been back now at least 10 times since, once or twice a year.
Okay, and what do you do for a living?
I'm a children's nurse.
Okay, so that's helped in going out to Uganda and getting involved with the hospital and the clinic?
Absolutely.
And what sort of things do you get involved with when you're there?
So it's mostly been at the government hospital in Hoima. We've been working alongside the other staff, mostly doctors, nurses, students and midwives, teaching and supporting, sharing ideas, sharing knowledges, and also at the charity funded hospital Azure Clinic as well, where we've been out and done the same thing with the staff there, helped establish a paediatric ward, and other colleagues have helped establish maternity service as well.
Okay, and how many times have you been to Hoima?
I lost count when I got to 10.
Okay, and when was the last time you went to Hoima?
It was just back in March time was my last trip.
And what are the things you've noticed that have changed over the last 8-9 years?
Within Hoima town itself there's been lots of development on the roads, it's all been re-tarmacked now, there's some new buildings going up. At the hospital there've been some funding from Japanese and from India, so there's been a new surgical building, maternity building that's been built. But there's quite a lot of demolition work at the hospital as well that's been going on.
So do you think things are getting better, or is it still a long way to go?
Well, it's definitely getting better. There's still a long way to go as well though. It's really improvement when I first went out in 2010.
Okay.
Sure.
And I think you also sponsor one of the children at the mustard seed, is that correct?
That's right, I do.
And
I sponsor Sarah, who's now about 16 probably. It's been lovely being able to meet her and sort of watch her grow up over the past 7-8 years as well.
so you've got a real bonding and relationship with her?
Yeah. And what was really nice was pure potluck. When I was there last year, we found out she was getting resettled to go back to her family in the holidays, and I was there for her last day. So we got to say kind of proper goodbyes, have some photos, give some little gifts and things like that, which was really lovely.
Good. And when do you plan to go out again?
Hoping to go back later on this year, possibly early next year.
And you're a trustee with BHPH?
That's right, yes.
What's BHPH?
So it's the Basingstoke Hoima Partnership for Health, which is a link between Basingstoke Hospital and Hoima Hospital in Uganda. We're very much brief aim really just to improve the healthcare of Hoima, which leaves us less limited as to who we work with and where we go.
Okay, and how many times do Basingstoke send teams out? And what do they generally do when they're there?
So usually it's about 4 or 5 times a year. Teams of up to about 8 to 10 people go out. Some teams can be pretty much one-discipline, maternity, paediatrics. Other teams can be multidisciplinary, and just working whatever we're wanted and needed ultimately.
Give us some of your highlights from your times of going back to Hoima. What are the things? It doesn't have to just be on the medical side, it could be safaris, it could be just people you meet. Give us some highlights of things.
So the main highlights, I think, going back and seeing people you already know, meeting old faces and familiar people. At the hotel that we stay, it's like going back home. When you go back to the hospital, a lot of the key staff are still the same, so it's like meeting up old friends. Going to the mustard seed, the children have gone from children to teenagers, from babies to children. Just watching them grow and develop has been lovely.
So a lot of it's about relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's good. If you can think back to your first visit, do you remember what you were expecting and what actually surprised you on the first visit?
Mm-hmm. I think nothing can completely prepare you for your first visit. It was definitely much more backward than I was expecting, because I knew it was equivalent of like Southampton General Hospital. It had no water, had intermittent power, it had minimal equipment, the staffing levels were completely shocking from what I was expecting. Although you know it's not going to be brilliant, actually in reality it's a lot worse. And you can't ever prepare people for the actual smells, what it's actually really like in reality. Looking at pictures just isn't quite the same thing.
What were the things that surprised you in terms of your first, when you first landed and you first drove to Hoima, which is probably about 5 hours from the airport, what were the things that really struck you and hit you?
Mm-hmm. The main thing is just how welcoming everyone is. My favourite phrase is, "You're most welcome." And people just say it with such genuineness as well, they actually really mean it. And although people have very little, they don't go around begging or asking, they're just very content with their everyday lives. The place itself is beautiful as well, loads of greenery, plenty of rain, and just, you know, the whole journey to Hoima was a whole, you know, experience in itself as well.
So thinking of BHPH and your involvement in the times you've been over there, what sort of things do you think will happen in the future, and how do you think the partnerships that have already built and the relationships will continue to develop?
Our aim is that BHPH will keep doing regular trips, keep supporting the teams with staff out in Hoima. We're actually financially not too bad at the moment as well, because we're hoping to actually spend more money to make more difference out there as well, on something sustainable, make a big difference for the hospital out there. We're also hoping to do a bit more outreach work as well, so not being just as stuck to the hospital itself, and do more work in the community.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Anne, and thanks for sharing today some of your experiences of Hoima and how they've impacted on you.